Hi, I'm Louise from OTGrow. And if group therapy is your passion or your calling, then you're in the right place. On this channel, we discuss tips, tools, and techniques so that your group facilitation can become more impactful. And we also interview guests to gain some insights and wisdom so that we can also try and think differently about group therapy and gain understanding. So today we're going to talk about closing contract. So some of you might never have heard the term, so we're going to be explaining that in more detail. All right, so let's start by talking about what exactly do we mean when we say closing contract. So we know about contracts that you sign either when you have an agreement with somebody, a rental agreement, or you have a contract with somebody you're employing. So that's a little bit what we're alluding to in the group therapy space, except this is agreement between the group facilitator and every one of the group members. So it needs to be unanimous from the group members, and it's an agreement that says they will participate in the activity that you have prepared for the group. So just to repeat again, basically, when we say closing contract, it is the process where the group facilitator and each member of the group comes to agreement that the group members will participate in the activity. All right, so why would we do that? Why would we spend the time during our groups to make sure that we close contract? So there are different benefits that can be gained when we close contract with our group members. The first one is that each group member feels that they have had a say. So we're almost getting their buy-in into what we're going to be moving into. And this buy-in becomes really important, especially if it's a space that might make them quite uncomfortable, that they have an opportunity where they can agree or disagree to participate in the activity that you have planned. In this process, we're helping clients to take responsibility and also ownership for their own therapeutic process. We're really saying you have a say in this therapeutic process that we're facilitating. This isn't a question of the therapist says the therapist has planned. No, you have a say in taking ownership and responsibility. Whether you want to agree or disagree, this is your opportunity. And what are you agreeing to? You're agreeing to participate in the activity that has been planned. It's also a way that the group facilitator ensures that a process is facilitated. In other words, we are really not there to be dictators or leaders, but we are facilitating a process, meaning that we're coming from behind, we are providing opportunities for our clients, and they can decide what they want to engage in and what they don't want to engage in. And when we do that, we also become very aware of dynamics in the group. So we can start seeing who are the people that are always holding back and not sure that they want to agree. Maybe it's showing us a little bit of a commitment problem with people, or maybe it's showing us that they're not sure whether they want to engage in this process because the unknown is so scary. So by giving opportunities, we are actually allowing group members to become more themselves. And when they become more themselves, they can actually step back at certain times and reflect and become self-aware. Maybe at a later stage, the therapist or the group facilitator will come in and say, I've seen this pattern. I wonder what that means. I wonder why every time we come to closing contract, it's difficult for you to commit to the process. So we are allowing all the different reactions because at the end of the day, it all says something about either the group or each group member individually. So it also gives our clients a place to be seen as equals. Not only are they taking ownership and responsibility, but we really are allowing them the space to say, you know what, I really don't want to do this. And it's not a process of manipulating. If there's any manipulation or the therapist feels, I've got to get my group to do what I've planned, then you are on the wrong path with facilitating of your group process. This really is this what you need? I don't want to be offering something for my clients when that is not a need. Then we're wasting everybody's time. I don't want to be offering something or a therapeutic intervention, and they can't even see the sense in that. And so this is the process that we are trying to prevent the senseless participation with our clients. So that is why we would strive to close contract with our clients. So where do we do this? Generally, we do it between the process that we call, sorry, not process, it's in our procedures between our warm-up and our main activity. We have a phase that we call the bridging phase. So we're taking our clients a little bit on a journey until we come to a stage where we can actually ask them, all right, are you ready now? Do you want to participate in this? And then we close the contract. So where does the closing of contract fit in? It's basically the last thing that we ask when we consider or plan our bridging. And when we facilitate the group process, it is the last question that we ask before our group members go into the main activity. All right, so if I am busy planning my group protocol and I'm trying to ascertain how do I formulate a closing contract question. So the first thing to know, it's always in a question format. It's never a statement or instruction. And again, I want to make the distinction here. This is for passive participation clients and higher. This does not apply to people of self-differentiation and lower. So on passive participation and higher, it's a question that we formulate because we are treating our clients as equals and they are allowed to agree or disagree to the closing of the contract. So it's never a statement because that implies that there isn't any leeway for them to disagree, and it's never instruction either. All right, so how do I then go about formulating the question? The question is always around the activity. Sorry. The question is always around the goal, not the activity. And I know I said it's agreement between the therapist and each of the group members. So at the end of the day, they will participate in the group activity. But the group activity, why are we doing this group activity? It's so that we can reach the goal. So our closing contract is always formulated around the goal. That is a way that our clients will also know why they are doing a specific activity. So when clients aren't sure why they're doing an activity or a task or occupation, they're just going through the steps. It means that they also don't really take ownership. They don't know what this is really about. And so we formulate a question around the goal. What is it that we're trying to achieve through this activity? So for that to happen, we must make sure that it's very specific, our goal. A goal like stress management is really wide. There are so many elements of stress management. Are you going to be trying to help clients identify their signs and symptoms of stress? Are you going to be facilitating an activity where they get the opportunity to explore different techniques to manage their stress? What are you going to be doing? And so once we have our goal and we've made it very specific, we can then take that specific goal and formulate it in a question for the agreement for our clients, or like we mentioned, the closing contract. So we also, what's important is to make sure that whatever they are agreeing on will be reached. So if you have something incredibly vague, today we are going to be able to find solutions to your problems outside. Sure, that is a big responsibility on the group facilitator's shoulders to ensure that that goal is reached. So rather take something really small and manageable and ensure that you reach that through your activity than what you take something really big and you're not going to be able to biting off more than you can chew. You're not going to get the group members to reach that goal. So I want to give you some examples of how a closing contract question would be. It would be something like, would you like to practice how to use beginner's mind of mindfulness in this next couple of activities? Or would you like to experience trust within this group? Or would you like to get to know each other better? Or would you like to explore different techniques to manage your stress? Can you see how A, it's a question, B, it's formulated around a goal and not an activity, and C, that it is small and manageable? We're not asking group members to trust everybody all the time, even outside. Just in this moment, an activity to experience trust within this group. That's all that we are going for. All right, and again, it's important that when we ask the question, that we get a consensus from every group member. Now, every group member doesn't have to say, yes, I consent, or yes, I agree to this contract. A nodding of the head is fine. A yes, just a plain yes, is also fine. It's a really getting that agreement from our clients. All right, so now you're going to ask me, but what happens if they don't agree? And that can happen. Most often, if the therapist has picked up on the correct group themes and are addressing the real needs of clients, then the clients are not likely to disagree. They're going to, more than likely than not, they'll agree. But there are times when individual clients will disagree. Now, sometimes what it looks like is they won't go yes, they'll just stare, they'll keep quiet. And it's important, as we mentioned, to get consensus. So you'll stop by that client and say, you seem hesitant. I wonder what you are hesitating, or what is making you uncomfortable, what is going on for you, and to rather get that person to talk about their discomfort. Then you can see, as a group facilitator, is it something that the group can manage? Maybe the person says, oh, that sounds too much for me. I don't know if I can trust the group members. And then to put it back to the group and say, well, how do the group members feel about it? If your cohesion is strong, you're going to find that your group members will say something like, oh, it's okay, they can just watch. Or we can negotiate that maybe they do a tiny bit of the trusting, or only with one person, or maybe they can do an activity and keep their eyes open if it was a blindfold activity. So here we're trying to hear from the group members what the problem is, and we try and see how can we still accommodate them in this in this activity. And so it becomes a process of negotiation. And I want to stress that it's a negotiation. It's talking and agreeing and listening to the group. Remember, it's the group's process, so that the group takes ownership of how they're going to incorporate the group member who does not feel safe enough to participate in reaching this goal. And that it's not manipulative. Oh, I'm trying to get everybody to do this. No, be really open about it. Be really willing to see where the group is willing to go with this. If the whole group says, you know what, we're standing with this one person, great. It means great cohesion. And then you can say, okay, so if this is not what you want for today, what other goal would you like to us to address in this therapy session? And they might say something totally different. And then it is up to the group facilitator to pull a rabbit out of a hat, or to grab something from your OTGrow bumper activity book to try and see how can you select another activity that will meet with a goal that they have chosen. And not to be afraid of that process. You can say to your clients, all right, that's not what I planned. Give me 2 minutes. I just need to reframe and I'm going to be with you. And in that sense, they are really very accommodating, because we're listening to our clients. We are providing for their needs of therapeutic intervention. And that's also why in OTGrow we have 2 or 3 boxes of materials and all types of goodies, so that there's very seldom that we can't pull the bunny out of the hat. We have something in our box of tricks that we can pull out, that most of our activities will cover materials needed for most of our activities. So again, to say, if you don't close contract, consider doing that. you might be pleasantly surprised to see how group members actually start taking ownership for their own therapeutic journey. And also how the group facilitator really starts to get a sense of what is important for the group and can see group dynamics so clearly. This brings us to the end of our episode today. So we encourage you to go out and try to do these techniques. And if there are any questions, please pop them in the comments below, and we will try to answer your questions as much as we can. Also, if you've got any comments, please feel free to share them with us. Also, if you're interested in more of our trainings, please go and have a look on our website. And until I see you again next week, happy facilitation.